Thoughts on the market number 2. Duck hunting. Microsoft, Nvidia, meme stocks, exciting stocks, and duck hunting. It's better to be roughly right than precisely wrong. John Maynard Keynes. In 1996, the largest 10 companies in the S&P 500 were as follows: Coca-Cola, ExxonMobil, Intel, Merck, IBM, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, Lowe's, and Bristol-Myers Squibb. By 1997, Microsoft had claimed the number 2 spot in this list, and by 1998, it was the largest public company in the United States, a title it would hold throughout 1999. On December 27th of 1999, Microsoft closed the day at $59.56 per share, adjusted for splits. It was the largest company in the S&P 500, and it traded for about 74 times trailing 12 months price to earnings. It would be 16 years and 10 months before Microsoft's share price returned to $59.56 per share, and investors were finally made whole again. The question someone with even a small margin of sanity might have asked themselves back in the late 90s is, how fast can a company's intrinsic value really increase? Or perhaps, how could Microsoft have leapfrogged over 10 massive companies in less than 3 years? Now, I wasn't investing in 1999, but I was investing in 2021. I remember quite vividly how various analysts and fund managers justified paying any price for assets that told a good story. Financial media is, in the end, media, and they usually go right along with the hype. That's the business model. Add YouTube, TikTok, and hell, even some Substack writers I see out there, and you end up with a self-reinforcing machine fit for this AI-integrated world we are living in today. Never before have you had to know less to say more. Had I been on Substack 10 months ago when I was busy pivoting away from hype, I might have written something very similar to what I'm writing today. Naturally, our president had other ideas, and so my first Thoughts on the Market post, my very first write-up here on Substack, had to do with trying to cloud out noise and focus on what I thought I really knew. Fast forward to today, and the market is back. It's back, baby. Back to breaking records, back to IPOs, and back to that incredible new technology called AI. I've noticed a few other things are back too, namely cryptocurrency, meme stocks, and Cathie motherfucking Woods. Have you seen her ads on YouTube? I sure have. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that I began writing this before Sam Altman mentioned the existence of an AI bubble, but I hadn't published it yet. I've had a friend visiting me for the past week, and life sort of got in the way. So the timing of this post won't make me look as clever as I like to think I am, but making predictions isn't my game anyway. I digress. Ultimately, it is a surge in expectations, namely due to the rise of AI, that I believe serves as the justification for such excitement around everything that seems new. Much like the tech and internet bubble of the late 90s, people are finally seeing the power of this brand new technology, and so they've become dreamers again. We have yet to see an operating margin or return on equity for something as basic to the AI story as ChatGPT. All I've been able to find is speculation. How much does it cost to provide me with my ChatGPT subscription? Moreover, what does it cost to provide my fiancée with her free subscription? It seems entirely possible to me that the energy cost of sales alone may outweigh revenue, but it's really just not on anyone's mind. These things matter. Selling dollar bills for 50 cents isn't a business model, it's a marketing campaign. Both automobiles and air travel revolutionized human life, but they're both famously bad investments. And we are investors after all. But AI is just the tip of the iceberg. When words move numbers, numbers go up. You don't have to read The Intelligent Investor to believe that fundamentals ought to drive price. We've all heard that the stock market is a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long run. In other words, fundamentals do drive price. Eventually. That will always be true, but what changes is the extent to which words can drive price. Humans aren't built to understand and remember numbers. We prefer stories. Moreover, humans are bad at reasoning. We believe we are thinking creatures who can feel, but really we are feeling creatures who can think. Every cognitive bias and limbic drive works against our ability to invest wisely. Fundamentals can drive a stock's share price higher, but usually there will be a narrative carry forward that will push it even higher. Moreover, because we people possess a natural inclination towards words over numbers, the market occasionally becomes overrun with those who are more interested in stories than fundamentals. This creates a black box effect, where so-called investors begin to chase anything that sounds like a game changer. The reason being simply that game changer type stories usually end in a borderline fantasy in which the future earnings are seemingly endless. These fantasies usually involve the omission of less exciting realities like regulation, competition, and profit margins. In 2021, we saw many of these revolutionary companies, the disruptors, whose chief promoter was the infamous Cathie Woods. Armed with Excel sheets and seemingly precise estimates of what these companies could be worth, fund managers like Ms. Woods collected a fee while tickling the vivid imagination of, let's face it, a bunch of bored young men stuck at home with extra cash. Because these sorts of expectations are not tied to any kind of real numerical reality, the stock price then becomes a mere analog for investors' sentiment. This drives the price higher, confirming what these dreamers always wanted to believe. They're going to be rich. With the help of media, FOMO takes over, and the next thing you know, we're in a bubble. TLDR, when words move numbers, number go up. Microsoft. It always starts with something real. Back in the 90s, Microsoft was understandably viewed as the dominant player in this new and exciting world of the internet. That was real. But in order to rationalize the price that must be paid for such excitement, investors began to tell stories about all the things Microsoft could do later. Microsoft was already a juggernaut in operating systems and productivity software, but the internet was seen as a way to extend its dominance into web browsers, search and portals, online communication, e-commerce, and digital media. Notice anything about these future profit streams for Microsoft? None are currently generating Microsoft a profit. If anything, it was Google who would become the leader in the first two of those areas, with Meta controlling the third and Amazon dominating the fourth. This is the danger in telling ourselves stories about glorious futures. Usually, if the future looks glorious, there are many, many people looking for a piece of it. Microsoft was not a bullshit company. As a matter of fact, Microsoft was earning real profits from its business. It was an early leader in an exciting new world, and when investors felt it was too late to buy Microsoft, they looked for some other way to get in on the action. This is where the insanity begins. Bubbles may begin with a rational new thing that improves society and makes money doing it, but they often end with worthless pieces of paper being used as collateral to buy mini mansions. And so it was in the tech bubble of the late 90s. NVIDIA. Today, our Microsoft is called NVIDIA, and they are the only company currently designing the leading-edge semiconductor chips which make AI possible. That is not bullshit, nor is it unprofitable. NVIDIA's net income over the past 5 years is nothing less than explosive. Furthermore, AI, the new technology NVIDIA's chips enable, is on everyone's lips, and God only knows how many of these chips are going to be needed in the future. If you've used ChatGPT, then you must understand the excitement. I certainly do. Most Americans have lived through the internet age and watched so much of life move onto a computer. They've seen phones become computers and fit in the palm of their hands. They've seen TVs get bigger, better, and cheaper. And perhaps most importantly, they've seen computers in general become integral parts of every single conceivable aspect of life in a modern civilization. The conclusion: if this is AI now, what will it be like in 10 years? Wow, what a thought, right? One can only imagine. And that's the thing that concerns me, because I know what happens when investors imagine. They dream. And when investors dream, we tell stories. Those stories move numbers, and numbers go up. It goes like this. One story becomes one true-ish story, becomes 1,000 fantasies. In other words, we see the true story of NVIDIA's wild earnings growth, and we start to tell a true-ish story about AI changing the world, NVIDIA being a part of that. Having seen the first story and imagined the second, we begin to believe any old story someone who wants our money is willing to tell us. Meme stocks. Meme stocks are a somewhat boring topic to me, but I do think they're a great canary in the coal mine for bubbles. They cause no real trouble, unless you're short, but they're a very real sign of investor excitement. The reappearance of these meme stocks, as well as an array of cryptocurrencies, serves as further proof to me that, well, bored young men with cash are getting excited again. Had I written this back in 2021, I might have talked a lot about the rise of SPACs, altcoins, NFTs, and meme stocks, but I may have simply left it at that. Reason being, I wrongly believed I had the skill and precision to avoid such nonsense. After all, no part of me believed that these overhyped assets would make for good investments. At that time, I thought I was a much better investor than I think I am today. Why such confidence? Well, at that time, it seemed I couldn't miss. Everything I bought went up, and I was too egotistical to admit the real reason. Everything was going up. Words were moving numbers, so naturally, numbers went up. In 2021, I believed I could look at a collection of exciting stocks and pick a winner. Exciting stocks. There are blue chips, small caps, mid caps, meme stocks, boring stocks, and all sorts of other categories. The one I'd like to focus on is what I call exciting stocks. Here is the criteria for an exciting stock. 1. It's already gone up a lot recently. 2. The company is supposed to change, disrupt, or revolutionize something. 3. The PE either doesn't exist because it's not yet profitable, or it's beyond any sort of reasonable value territory. More than 50. I could probably add more, but 3 is a good number, so let's stick with that. These exciting stocks usually make for a great story and get people, well, excited. Their share price is self-propelling, for a while anyway, as the share price seems to confirm the story, and the story gives it news coverage, and the news coverage brings in more investors who move the price up. It's all very exciting, and I want none of it. Not anymore anyway. Deer hunting. I'm no hunter, but I won't let that keep me from a good metaphor. Back in 2021, I believed I was deer hunting. For those who don't know, deer hunting usually employs use of a rifle. The rifle is shot at a still target, a deer, from a distance. You sit around in a tree waiting for the deer to come into view, and when it finally does, you dial in your sights, exhale slowly, and fire a single shot that hopefully strikes the target precisely where you aimed. In 2021, I saw myself as a deer hunter. I was perched atop my tree of Warren Buffett idioms, holding my rifle and looking for a deer I thought I could hit. I believed I could look at 100 different exciting stocks and pick a winner. See, I wanted to participate in that excitement and fooled myself into the belief that by sneering at meme stocks, I was thereby immune to the very behavior that drives such madness. I hath become bored young man with cash, destroyer of returns. Precision, I thought, would keep me safe from hype. I invested in Bill Ackman's SPAC while sneering at all other SPACs. I bought a hydroponics distributor while I mocked pot stock investors, and I bought C Limited while I ridiculed those who chased anything marketed as the Amazon of blank. Now, I made a healthy profit on 2 of those 3 hypocrisies, but I got killed on one of them. I really didn't deserve to profit on any of it, and although I survived this everything bubble with a market-beating return overall, I still think I should learn from what really can only be described as a mistake. The sin? I believed I could be precise in a moment when nothing in my view was a good shot. I was zoomed in on my scope, unable to see what was going on around me. I behaved like a deer hunter, but it was duck hunting season. Duck hunting. While a rifle shoots a single bullet, shotguns release hundreds of small little pellets into the air. One of those pellets wouldn't kill a deer, but would absolutely pull a flying bird out of the sky. So duck hunting is a completely different sort of activity from deer hunting. There is no precision involved in duck hunting. You see ducks flying overhead, squint an eye, and quickly fire just up ahead of where the ducks are flying, and usually you'll hit one. Back in 2021, I should have been duck hunting. That is to say, I should have looked at the sky with both eyes and reckoned whether or not I saw a lot of ducks. No ducks? Don't shoot. Just move on to another location until you see ducks. There were good investments in 2021, but I was hunting in an overhunted area, and I wasted bullets doing so. Perhaps in some situations, investing can resemble deer hunting, but I believe it's a hell of a lot more like duck hunting overall. The most important bit is finding the ducks. After that, it's just ready, aim, fire. Thoughts on the market. To say we're in a similarly frothy market as 2021 is perhaps an overstatement, but I do believe the signs of overhunting are visible. I see people talking about the same 10 exciting stocks and alternative assets, and I believe the moment for deer hunting is past. For me, duck hunting means steering clear of this area entirely. Fortunately, I believed this back in late 2024, and I've already identified some wetlands with plenty of ducks still in the trees. I no longer believe I can find the one healthy deer in a pack of 100 sick ones. I'm just not even going to bother looking in that direction until I see frustrated hunters walking out of the woods. Over the next few months, I will likely continue rotating capital out of my QQQ and SPY holdings and into my less exciting ideas: OTCM, Pool Corp, EXP, AMR, HCC, particularly if coal stocks fall when I expect them to. I'm sort of already in position for a duck hunt. My secret position has some serious trial moments coming in the next 6 months, and if all goes well, I shouldn't really need to do much hunting at all. Perhaps I'm a little early or a little late on this bubble talk, but it's better to be roughly right than precisely wrong.